Sometimes people will put a lead form or the lead form on their default website landing page, ask for too much information, where really all you need is the phone number and the address. The second question we ask them, because this is a big problem in the current market, is your property listed, yes or no? Why would we want to give everybody the same messaging when we know what door they're coming through based on what they searched? Think about the seller psychology, right? The more specific you can be to them and their pain point, and the more immediately understood they feel, the more likely they are to engage.
Guys, welcome back. Thank you so much. Super excited today. We are going to talk about some exciting stuff. Let's be real. Most investors, you are out there burning money on leads that you can't use, websites that don't convert, and campaigns that do not even track right. So today we're going to put a stop to that. I've got Noah Parks here from Baitman Collective. These guys run lead gen for some of the biggest players in the industry in real estate, and they know exactly why most real estate investors are losing deals before they even get on the phone. So Noah's going to break down the top 3 biggest mistakes almost everyone is making when it comes to lead sourcing and how to get them fixed fast. So if you're spending one single dime on marketing, you need to hear this. So let's get into it. Welcome to the Closers Club. Noah, how are you today, sir?
I am fantastic, David. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, super excited. So let's get right into it. What is the the mistakes that investors are making? What is the number one biggest one?
Yeah, one of the benefits I have is attending numerous masterminds throughout the year and getting to hear what people are struggling with. And so, in preparation for this, thinking about through those mistakes, what the top 3 are, I've just picked out a couple that I've been hearing lately. And so the first one that I would say is poor location targeting.
Yeah, for sure. Because if you I always tell people, like, your business, your marketing is a funnel. Whatever you put in the top is what's going to come out the bottom. So if you're looking for watermelons, you cannot put grapefruits in the top. So yeah, for sure, we want to be looking at the markets that are going to give us the best results, right? Where are our buyers? Where are their buyers?
Sorry, David, I didn't mean
to. No, that's good.
So even the way in which you target, so PPC, Facebook, SEO, that's what we're actually in, right? And especially with these online marketing, a lot of people will go after a county or something like that and they don't think through that. They don't think through that the county could be 1/3, urban and 2/3, the sticks. And when you think about Google as a lead source and some of the underlying metrics to it, it's very easy for Google to find those rural type leads because A, they're not very competitive, and B, they're cheap. And so they're really easy for Google to get you those leads. And that's what Google wants to get you. They feel like that's a win, right? Is to get you that lead. But ultimately the quality and being able to disposition that lead is not what you ideally want. And so the question is, how can we be more precise in telling Google where we want leads and where we do not? And so rather than trying to figure it out by zip code or county or even city, because within city, there are cities out there, I won't name names, where maybe people want a donut around the center of downtown and they want leads around the periphery of the city. So you can actually get down to a mile radius around a point.
Can you really? I thought PPC was just like at best city, the city or the county.
Yeah, no, so here's how we target a Baitman Collective. I'm going to give you guys a hack out there. There's a website called Blue Marble.
Okay.
And if you think about this, it's going to be an aha moment, but then you're going to be like, man, that was so obvious.
They usually are.
If you want to know where people live in your market, look at where the nighttime lights are on the map.
Okay.
That's where the people live. That's an easy way to identify it. You take Atlanta, Georgia, right? You got a massive major metropolitan area. And then all of a sudden you hit the outskirts of Atlanta and there's not a light to be seen. It gets very rural very quickly. And so one of the ways that you can decide where you want to target is by looking at the nighttime lights on a map and being very specific down to a mile radius around a point. There are some campaigns where we'll go in and draw a bunch of mile radiuses to cover in the map where people want leads. Now, it's not to say that Google's perfect. You're still going to get some out of area leads, but it's a way that you can minimize that percentage.
I think that's absolutely fantastic. Quick story. When I first started PPC years ago, I was on the county plan, and whatever the county is for Buffalo, New York, I'm like, oh, Buffalo, New York's actually a hot little market. A lot of hedge funds were there, but it was literally one little dot in this huge rectangle, and all I did was got leads way out where it was farmland, and nobody wanted it. So super great tip. That's amazing. I did not think with PPC you guys could dial it in that close. So that's awesome. That's definitely something we need to explore more. What's the number 2? What's the second biggest mistake people are making?
Weak landing page conversion. I hear this all the time, where people will send their PPC leads or even Facebook leads. Well, Facebook, if you're using Facebook forums, don't do that. You want to use a landing page where you have more control over the messaging. But for PPC, you want to have, there's a few things that you can do with a landing page. One, you're going to get far better speed, which Google loves, right? These leading metrics, Google loves a quick loading page. But also you can ask the type of information that you want to ask. Sometimes people will put a lead form or the lead form on their default website landing page, ask for too much information, where really all you need is the phone number and the address. It's really all you need.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think some people try to overqualify people on these websites and ask them 40, 50 questions, or if they have an answering service. And, even way back in the day, when we were doing direct mail, I've got this answering service, and they had it was like 40 questions. I'm like, nobody's answering that shit.
No, no.
Barrier to entry. Name, phone number, address. How quick do you want to sell? That's
right.
Really what I'm looking for. Well,
and the thing is you can do, and this is what we do. So we do a multi-step form, right? So we make sure that the landing page, first off, if you're doing any traditional marketing, whether it's TV or direct mail, billboards, anything like that, we want to make sure there's consistency and continuity between the branding, but also the messaging, right? The type of messaging that you put out there is the type of lead you're going to get. If you say that you pay the most for a property, you're going to get people who all they care about is how much you're willing to pay, right? So one thing to keep in mind is PPC, SEO, you have high motivation. Somebody is Googling somebody to buy their house and put them out of their pain. And so that's got to be assumed, right? You can assume the motivation. So get the basic information that you need. And then once you have phone number and address, that's going over to your acquisitions. And now you can ask them some more question and whatever information they're willing to give you. So we do a multi-step process. So it serves a few purposes. One, we get the address and phone. The second question we ask them, because this is a big problem in the current market, is your property listed, yes or no?
Yeah.
And if they select yes, we run a little JavaScript in the background to prevent that from reporting as a lead to Google. So we're de-incentivizing Google to find more like it. Does that make sense?
That does. Now, do you guys provide the landing page, or is that something you can recommend for clients?
Custom landing pages. And we do what are called dynamic landing pages. I hope I'm not getting too into the secrets.
Oh, man, tell me what that means.
Well, you've been in this business a long time. You know that there's, a dozen or so pain points that can really trigger somebody to go online and find somebody to buy their house.
Yeah.
So why would we want to give everybody the same messaging when we know what door they're coming through based on what they searched?
Okay.
So the landing page messaging is going to change based on the search intent. So if somebody's doing pre-foreclosure type searches, they're going to get very specific messaging that's different than somebody who maybe name another motivation. They're going to get
divorce, taxes, probate. And so is it that your ads, you would maybe run, if you're running for me, you would run an ad for foreclosure, for bankruptcy, divorce, for whatever, bad tenant, that type of thing. And then that would trigger the website to have a different version of the website.
Right. So the content of the landing page is going to change based on that.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Because again, think about the seller psychology, right? The more specific you can be to them and their pain point, and the more immediately understood they feel, the more likely they are to engage.
Right. So other than those couple of like questions, and I like the idea of, getting a little bit of information at the top. We want the bare minimum. I don't want them to get through 28 of 30 questions and bounce out and then I get nothing. So I love that. But what are some of the other things that, make a high converting landing page? Like what does it actually look like other than just like the speed?
Well, oftentimes, yeah. I mean, obviously speed. We've all done it. We've done a search, and if we click on a link and the page doesn't load fast enough, rather than wait, we go back out to the search and we click on someone else.
Yeah.
Google doesn't like that. It's a bad customer experience, and therefore Google will not display pages that have slow load speed. So that's obviously critical.
Yeah.
But then once they come in, you want to have, again, specific messaging to the pain point that they're having as much as you can, but also you want to have some social proof, right? Why should I'm going to enter in my information and I'm probably going to be contacted by these people pretty quickly. Why should I trust you? Why should I give you that information? And so having some social proof, whether it's, video testimonials, your Google rating, things like that, that's what gets somebody to trust you and fill out that form.
Right. Now, kind of just last question on this, because I know we have so much more to talk about, but does having video on there, slow down the load speed, or should it be like just text and images?
It could slow down the load speed. So there's two schools of thought. One is absolute fastest loading page possible. Our school of thought is yes, but there's other things that we need to accomplish to get a higher conversion rate. And we manage, well north of $1 million of ad spend, probably approaching $1.5 million or more per month. And so it gives us the ability to do a lot of split testing and gather a lot of data very quickly. Right. And when we find what's working best, we roll that out to our clients because we're always looking to make tweaks and find the best iteration.
Yeah. So I love that your clients get the experience of literally, all these years of experience and $1.5 million, which is a lot of ad spend. I think the most I ever hit personally was like 35, maybe 40 grand a month. And I thought I was big balling, and I know you've got clients that spend more than that, but that's a tremendous amount of ad spend.
Well, if you think about it, in our industry, we're a low volume, high value industry, right? Yeah. And so to get enough data, it's called conversion rate optimization, or CRO. To get a lot of data coming through to give you something statistically significant to be able to make changes in an A/B split test.
Right.
If you're running $5,000, $10,000 a month worth of ad spend, it's going to take you 6 months to get that amount of data.
Right.
For us, the way that we aggregate data, it allows us to do that within days, if not a week.
Wow. Awesome. All right, let's keep moving here. What is the number 3 mistake, the third biggest mistake that people are making when they're sourcing leads in their business?
I think let's go with most people don't know this. Most people don't know that you can train Google on what you want and help to develop the avatar.
All right.
So think about this. Every single click that you do on Google's got 10,000 or more points of data on every single click that happens. Every single click that then goes to a landing page, fills out the form, and becomes a lead, we've got a unique click ID for that. So we've got, Google has rather, tens of thousands of data points on the people who are clicking through. Now, if they fill out the form and let's say they're listed, right? Very low volume. So we block that as reporting as a conversion to Google. So we de-incentivize that type of lead. If they select no, and they go through the rest of the process, right? Then Google high fives themselves, think they did a great job, but all they know is that they clicked and filled out the form. They know nothing beyond that. Maybe you couldn't get a hold of the lead. Maybe they fell out of contract. Maybe they closed and you made a 6-figure spread on that. If you provide that outcome data back to Google, there's a correlation between outcomes and that click ID, where now they're starting to build a better avatar, a more accurate picture of who you want based on actual outcomes and who's converting. And so not leveraging offline data and not reporting and closing that feedback loop to Google's AI is a huge mistake. Now, that being said, for the average user, it's a difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
It's a pretty manual process. And yeah.
Is it? Okay. That was my question. Like, dude, I can't get my printer to work most days. So I have no idea how. Literally, I have somebody here hooking up a printer from the internet company. But yeah, I have no idea.
We know that.
Oh God, if we were on a second story, it would go out the window. But like, yeah, how do people do that? Is that something you can help or point them in the right direction? Like, where would I even start with that?
Honestly, work with us.
Okay.
Shameless plug, because we do it all for you. We've got 35, 36 people that work for us now, and and we have a team that handles that type of feedback loop. But offline reporting is something you could probably just Google it. I've never actually tried, but offline reporting and close that data loop, right? Give that feedback on outcomes to Google so they can build a better avatar for you.
Okay. So you guys do a ton of stuff. What are, like, other than just the things we talked about, you sort of at the beginning mentioned a few things. What are some of the other services that you provide for investors?
Yeah, a lesser known, everybody knows us for PPC and Facebook, but lesser known is our SEO offering and and our site builds. We have very, very good SEO and site builds. And so if you want something that's a little bit more custom feeling, and has a lead form that is a little bit more dialed in off millions of dollars of split testing, that's something that we can build out for you there. And then SEO is I have my opinions, right? My first e-commerce website was in 1996, 2 years before Google. And so
let's break down just for people who may not understand the difference between SEO and PPC, because I think depending upon your business model, you would use different ones.
Yes. Ideally, you want to be in both, right? In the perfect scenario, here's what you want. You want to show up when somebody does a keyword search that you have a solution for, right? Like buy my house fast for cash, right? Let's take things basic. You want to show up in those paid ads, right? Because those are the sponsored listings that show up at the top of the page, typically 3, maybe sometimes 4. If it's, a different phrase like cash home buyer near me, well, now we want to show up on that in the paid or PPC. But now we also want to show up in either the map pack, right? When you get the map on the search result and it lists of the companies and gives a push pin on the map. Yeah. That's accomplished through SEO. And then down below that, showing up in the organic results, that's accomplished through SEO. So really 3 areas that are accomplished through good SEO are the map pack, Google Business Profile, and the organic results. I'm going to throw in a 4th, actually.
All right, let's have it.
AI search. Gemini will give you search results in Google, but the big buzz right now is the announcement that 30% of search volume has gone over to the AI tools, ChatGPT,
so fast. Dude,
Gemini. Right? Yeah. Now, I'm going to disclaimer, right? When you think about our avatar, I mean this with all the love in my heart, not the most tech savvy typically, right? Yeah. So how much of our search volume in our industry is going over there? I don't know. Yeah. But why not be prepared? Because as the generations move along, it's inevitable. So optimizing for AI results as well, and making sure that you show up. If somebody were to ask ChatGPT who the best cash home buyer in their area is, do that. Go to ChatGPT and do a prompt and ask for the best cash home buyers in whatever market you're in, and see what shows up. And if you're not there, then you might have some work to do.
Okay. All right. Interesting. All right, cool. I know we're coming up on 20 minutes. That was so much stuff. Noah, tell us, like, how do people talk to you or anybody over there at Baitman Collective? Because you guys literally are, we only bring on the very, very best for this show. We always want to make sure that we've got the industry leaders, people who are proven to be helping, just countless investors. I know you guys sponsor big masterminds and events and do all the different things. So, you're definitely at the top of the list for PPC companies, and certainly in real estate. So what's the best way for people to get a hold of you? Is it just to go to the website or to email you?
Yeah, 2 ways. You can email me directly, Noah, Noah, just like the ARC, noah@batemancollective.com.
Okay.
Remember the E, it's not Batman Collective, Bateman Collective. I've had that before. Or you can go to the website, batemancollective.com. And at some point they'll ask, how you found us, and just, David Old's Easy REI Closings.
Yeah.
But let us know. I mean, we're a marketing company, and so we love to be able to attribute anybody that we talk to. And but if reach out to me, and maybe if you twist my arm a little bit and you want to do a new website or something like that, we can hook you up with a David Old's discount.
Awesome. Noah, thank you so much, man. I hope that we get to do this again. I know there's so many different things to talk about. We squeezed a lot of information in here for everybody for 20 minutes. Make sure that you watch this, take good notes, email Noah, and let's get your website and your marketing just optimized. 2025 is starting to move faster and faster. We get a couple rate drops, cut that, rate drops, and we're going to think speed back up where people really need to get these properties moved. And that's what we're here to do as investors. So again, Noah, thank you so much. I do appreciate you coming.